All right, Grant. I guess we should maybe not be surprised that Tennessee in the final home game of the season treated fans to one of their specialties. A sluggish first half and a much better second half, and a 75-65 win on a really emotional senior day.
It was. It kind of felt like that 2018 Georgia senior day, if you remember that. Tennessee was playing for a share of the SEC regular season championship, and Georgia was not very good. And you showed up on senior day kind of expecting it to be a little bit of a coronation, and then it kind of starts out slow and then continues slow, and you're having to find a way to win it in the final 10 minutes. Tennessee looked pretty good early on against South Carolina today. Built a 10-point lead and then kind of struggled, spun their wheels for about 20 minutes and turned it on the second half.
I was got blown away, so I wasn't surprised. If I told you Tennessee was going to shoot 50% in the first half against the worst team in the SEC, you're thinking blowout. They're up by 10 or 12, but they shot 50% in the first half. They're tied 34, and then it wasn't exactly like they came out and the second half surge just materialized immediately. When did Chaz?
Right. Chaz picked a great time to score.
15 minutes. Yeah. About the 15-minute mark, he scored 16 points in 5 minutes.
Chaz Lanier picked a perfect time to score that 16 points in whatever it was. That 5 minutes.
A little 5 minutes and change.
And he was attacking. I mean, he really didn't do anything in the first half.
Was it all threes?
He had 20 and 23 in the second half. First half, he shot maybe twice, 3 times, something like that. On a night where Zakai didn't score until the last couple minutes. Jemai Mashak didn't do much. I mean, you're not expecting much from him offensively, but in the first half, the bench outscored the starters, so it's kind of happened.
And Cade showed up. I mean, you wouldn't.
Right.
I didn't have that on my bingo card.
Right.
You were going to need 15 points from Cade today. Maybe you didn't need him, but you kind of did. I mean, Felix only played 17 minutes, was not real productive when he was in there. Cade 6 to 8. I mean, does a lot of good things. Was really impactful.
Cade needed it because he played 6 minutes at Ole Miss, and Rick said he wasn't locked in. And when you're not locked in, Rick doesn't trust you. When you don't have trust, you don't play. So he needed that because Felix picked up 2 fouls in the first half, only played 10 minutes, then picked up his third foul really quickly in the second half. Then came back in, picked up his fourth foul immediately.
The first possession.
Right, and Cade came back in and picked up his third foul. So you between those two bigs, you better have somebody that can stay out of foul trouble and be halfway productive.
And knowing Cade, I would imagine, I wouldn't say it got back to him. I'd say Rick told him to his face, you're not locked in. That's why he played 6 minutes. Right. I would say knowing Cade, that was a slap in the face. Yes. I'm not surprised that he came back and was really good today. And you mentioned Zakai, man. I mean, he didn't hit a shot. He only took 2.
Right.
And
missed free throws.
Missed 3 free throws. Almost was scoreless on senior day. The only other time in his career was against Kansas last year in Maui. And that was, one of the first 3 or 4 games back from the torn ACL. So I got to think he was pressing today. I really do.
And I think that's why Rick wanted to move the ceremony to after the game and kind of change the emotions and not get out of that routine before the game. And it's just a little bit different on senior day, especially when you got a group as big as this one and 2 guys in Jemai and Zakai that have played so much basketball.
Yeah,
so many games.
I like what Rick did. The downside is, if you don't win the game, it's a disaster.
You're attending your own funeral.
Which was all, they toyed with it a little bit there. But great, looking ahead now, Alabama has just beaten Auburn right before we came out to tape this. Tennessee, that puts Tennessee in the 4 seed, which we love.
We love because it's Friday afternoon instead of midnight
Friday afternoon, roughly 3:30 your all's time. And, it's potentially setting up a date with Florida on Saturday, which, are we wrong? Is that going to be a playoff? Is that a playoff game?
Auburn.
Oh, you're right.
Because Auburn's the number 1 seed.
You're right.
Is
that a playoff game? Is Saturday, if Tennessee wins that one, is that a 1 seed? Or is that impossible to say because it's Florida?
I think it depends on where Florida goes. I mean, Florida could be alive on the other side of the bracket and could be there Sunday. And I don't know how much goes into Sunday with the bracket and the selection committee and how much of it's
I don't either. I'm
Saturday night.
I'm spitballing, and it seems like you never know.
Yeah, Tennessee's going to have to do a lot to, I think, get back on that number 1 seed line. I think they're going to have to get some help from Florida. If Tennessee could win Friday, Florida lose Friday, something like that. I don't know. It's going to be tough because of what Florida has done. We're taping this before Florida plays Ole Miss. They could lose Ole Miss.
They could.
Completely change everything.
Absolutely. So. But, Florida, Florida's, those wins, I think, are going to re-out. The ones that, the ones they got coming down the stretch here. And then Tennessee, and they split with Tennessee. So I don't, Tennessee's going to have a hard time arguing that they're getting screwed if Florida gets that 1 seed.
But there are worse things in the world than be the top number 2 seed or maybe the number 2 seed, depending on what
frankly,
happens.
for my money, if you're going to be the number 1 seed in the West and maybe go to San Francisco, no thanks.
Instead, you can go to Indianapolis if you get to the second weekend in the Midwest region and potentially be paired with Houston. I think that's what the projections are now. The other one is
under of 98.5 in that game.
And the other, I can't remember the other region. The South is in Atlanta. I think that's going to be Auburn. Newark is going to be the East. That's probably going to be Duke. So, there are worse things in the world than to go into this tournament feeling pretty good about number 2 seed at least.
Again, and I don't think we learned anything about this team today that we didn't know, but I thought Coach Barnes had a great quote. If we don't keep getting better, we got 2 games left.
Right.
And that's his mindset. That's the way it is now.
That's this time of year.
That's it. We're here.
The end could be here quick. You never know.
It's
Let's leave on a high note.
Let's leave on a high note. I like it, Grant. He's Grant Ramey. I'm Rob Lewis. This has been the Exterior Home Solutions Fast Break on Volquest.com.